Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this story. So we are continuing our run through Walter Simonson's Thor 368 from 1986. I have every single of these issues. Walter Simonson's Thor is one of my favorite runs of all time. It I He does the cover. He is done with the inside. Unfortunately, Mr. Simonson's heading toward X Factor here. Real quick, I wanted to show you guys. I love thick black lines. We don't see these anymore. Very few artists still draw with big, bold. Right now, the big two is basically Photoshop ads, and everything is all pretty and everything is taken from references. You don't see these big, thick black lines anymore. So John Workman will continue to do the lettering. However, Walter Simonson is not drawing. He is still the writer of this. Sal Buscema, who is still with us, he is still alive, is the artist. So, if you remember, Balder was apparently killed by Curse in our final issue. Um, and here is it Agnar? He goes, "It cannot be. Balder the Brave has been slain by Curse." Here we see. I love even the detail of the drool here. Here we have our credits. Walter Simonson writes, and Sal Buscema pencils with inks. John Workman, one of the top three greatest letterers of all time. Tom Orzechowski and Kevin Kline are the other two in the lettering Hall of Fame, as I like to say. Sal Buscema is a very good artist. He had a very long run on Spectacular Spider-Man. He was in Spider-Man during the entire time that Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson, and Mark Bagley were all doing Amazing Spider-Man. So Sal Buscema has been in Marvel, I believe, since the 60s. So primarily nowadays, he works as an inker, but he is more than capable penciler. He is the brother of John Buscema. "The villain shall not outlive thee, my prince. Agnar of Vanaheim will avenge thy death. For Balder the Brave," he yells. One of the things I love is how the panel cuts for the lettering. I try to incorporate this in my own. And so Thor says, "Hold, Agnar. Thor bids thee stay thy wrath." And Agnar says, "My lord Balder is dead. Yonder kneels his assassin. Let justice be done." And Thor again says, "Hold thyself in check. I command it. There's more here than meets the eye," says Thor. "I have fought this self same curse before." Back in Thor 363, I do have a playlist covering all of Simonson's run. I started from the very beginning, so we've gone the entire way. I'm going all the way to his very last issue, but I think that I'm still going to continue all the way to issue 400, skipping around a few issues where Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends will take over. So Thor continues. "He is no wanton assassin, slaying for pay or pleasure. Rather, he is a mad vessel of revenge, seeking a single goal. His power is truly beyond belief, but Balder was not the object of his hatred. I wonder. Agnar, take thy blade and touch the body of our fallen brother. My lord, touch him. I say the slightest glance will be enough." And so you can see here, "Very well, but and suddenly we see that this is Malekith, Upon my life, says Agnar. So it was not Balder whom he tried to kill. And Agnar continues, "This is not our fair Balder. 'Tis none other than Malekith, the shape changer, whom we did capture only yesterday." And so that was covered in the last issue. As I suspected, Thor says, "Iron has ever destroyed elvish enchantments, and thy sword has broken Malekith's spell. The dark elf escaped our prison only to deceive us in Baldur's guise. Who knows what harm he would have wrought upon Asgard if he had lived, but even his magical disguise could not deceive Curse, whom he once did wrong." So, one of the things about Sal Buscema, very, you know, he has very strong features. You can see here that everyone, everyone has a style, John Byrne and all that, but you can see Buscema just very chiseled here, very very sharp edges to what he does. Very so that those are one of his things is he works very sharp. I guess that you can see here a big thick line or a big strong line here and a big strong line here, a big bold line here for the cheekbones. So all right. You could almost hear it. I mean, you can see even his jaw, like a big, just big sharp lines on everyone here. So, and now he hath paid the full price for his crimes, continues Thor. "All well and good, Thor, but what of the real Balder?" "Indeed, the blade of Fandral cries out to learn the answer to this riddle. Yes, where is Balder?" So we got here the Warriors 3. And so I think this is Heimdall here. "Thor, I wish to learn the fate of Balder as much as any, but what of Curse? If he truly is as powerful as you said, what prison will hold him?" And Thor says, "None in Asgard, Heimdall, but I think that will not be necessary. With Malekith's death, the driving force behind Curse will seem to have died as well. And were it not for him, we would not even now be paying homage to one of Asgard's bitterest foes. Agnar, I must ask a difficult task of thee. Upon my oath, I shall not rest till I have found Balder and brought him home to Asgard. Then know that the blade of Agnar shall stand by thy right hand, my lord." "Ah, but that is the task I set thee, Agnar. While I and my chosen companions ride forth in search of the shining god, I would ask that you remain behind." Of course, Agnar does not like that. "My lord, though he is quiet, Curse's powers can shake the very foundations of the nine worlds. But you carry the sword of Frey, which can cut any substance. Therefore, I ask you to go with Heimdall and guard Curse, lest his fury be rekindled." And so Thor thinks here, Agnar is a good lad. In truth, let's see here. So this way. So my bad. He'll make a fine warrior when he is fully tempered. In truth, I know not whether his weapon can stop Curse, but if it fails, there is naught else in Asgard that will avail, and Heimdall will give him a chance. So one of the things that's a little off here right now, you'll see that even in the coloring choices, the I don't know what you'd call them, the breastplates that Thor wears. With Simonson, they looked a little bit more like cloth, and you can see here Buscema is really trying to make them metallic here. So, and so Volstagg is like, "Make haste, my friends," and he's like, "Puff, puff." So he's more like, "Ha, ha." "Volstagg shall bring up the rear, puff, to guard against any unwanted intruders, puff, puff." So, and Thor says, the cell door asunder. Surely this cannot be the work of Malekith himself. Such strength was not his. And within the self itself, a prisoner remains. Of course, it is the villainous Loki. I kind of went back just a real quick here, and you can see here what I meant about these things. You can see here that Simonson always just uh, really didn't put any detail on them. So Loki says, "What are you staring at?" And Thor asks him, "How came you to this pass? Did you have some hand in Baldur's disappearance? Perhaps you and Malekith had a falling out." And so Loki says, "Always perceptive, my stepbrother, ever ready to lay the blame at Loki's door, though he sits before you in chains and tatters. Use what few brains you were given. I am as much a victim of Malekith's tricks as you. He took me by surprise and cast a spell to give me his appearance. So while I languished here alone, he walked about Asgard with impunity. Then that creature curse burst from the ground, thinking I was Malekith." So part of my thing with Loki in the shows and the movies is he became too popular, so they started to do that face turn. I just can't see Loki. Like, you don't go eons being evil and mean and all that kind of stuff, and suddenly you're like, I found courage and all that BS. So, and I know that Marvel decided, hey, well, it's working in the movies, let's do it in the. Loki's one of those few characters that I don't think can have a face turn, but you know. Um, so Loki snaps at Thor. He would have slain me, but at the last moment something told him I was not the foe he thought. And he turned and broke his out of his cell as though it were made of paper. Your presence here, I take it, means that curse succeeded and Malekith is no more. Good riddance and goodbye. And Loki disappears. So Thor says the devious one has departed, Fandral, for home most likely. Though I do not trust him, at least part of his story was true. Curse was certainly here, and I expect that Malekith did out-trick the trickster. For that alone, it may have been worth the Dark Elf's visit. Loki is never so sour as when he has been outmaneuvered. There's nothing further to be learned here. Tis time we began our search for noble Balder. So sorry. And so out they go, riding horses here. And Thor continues, when he was last seen, Balder was traveling to Asgard from Nornheim. Then let us backtrack along the byways Balder would most likely have taken. Surely one of us will find some sign of him. And so they get to a trail. Well, of course, there's one for everybody here. So how convenient. So Thor tells each one of them to take a road. So off we go. And so we are now on Earth here. And Simonson right here. A man's mind is a prison. The bars, the guns, the guards, they're all in the mind. And when they turn you loose, maybe you're free. And so this guy says, so long, Thatcher. Remember what I told you and keep your nose clean. I don't want to see you again. And it says here, the war needn't worry. He'll never see Thug Thatcher again. And so, all these years, all these crummy years in that crummy hole, and it was you, Thor. If it hadn't been for you, I'd have never seen Riker's Island. I'll bet you don't even remember me, but I haven't forgotten. And when I'm through, you'll never forget me either. So this is probably a story that happened most likely during Stan Lee's run. So we'll get to that in eventually here. And he calls a cab. Kennedy Airport and step on it. I got somebody I gotta see. So, how does he have money? Maybe he had money. Maybe they gave him some. So, and so here's an airplane here. So he's, man, what kind of an airplane is this? Look at this. So this looks like a rocket airplane. All right. So back to Asgard here. And we got Thor. He says we're gonna stop for the night and uh, search in the morning. So he's decided that this is a good spot for him to spend the night when this little old lady interrupts him. Poor little nice old lady, I'm sure, here. Then, my lord Thor, you have not come to save the ladies? What? He says. Why, old Granny thought you'd come to save those noble ladies held captive by Slagnbear the Troll. What ladies, Granny? 'Tis a tale I've not heard in Asgard. Because none who dare the castle ever comes out here again. Where is this place? He asks. A mile down the road, you'll find a path that leads off through the brambles to the right. Follow the scarlet flowers, and you'll come to a hidden way. Follow the way, and you'll find the castle. Old Granny's no liar, son of Odin. How do you know my name, Granny? Old Granny's no fool either, Lord. Everyone knows the son of Odin. Very old Granny, in the morning, before I resume my travels, I'll have a look at the castle of Slagnbur. So, and here he goes. Nice little splash page here. Very I you know, I'm just a sucker for this old art style. Yes, I know I'm old. Get off my lawn type thing. So, of course, this poor skeleton here. So, it's a skeleton of a large troll, says Thor. Picked clean by scavengers, but recent all the same. Perhaps these are the bones of Slagnbur himself. But there is no sign of any other living being about, and no sign of Balder or the captive maiden as Granny spoke of, nor is there any challenge to my presence from the floating fortress. The castle and the valley reek of sorcery and illusion. It does not seem likely that Balder strayed this path off the this way off the path to Asgard. I best return to the main road and continue to Nornheim. Perhaps even now one of the warriors three have found some trace of our comrade. So we see here these flowers all throughout, and it was in the previous. So I'm quite sure these are important to our story. Otherwise, there's no. I'm quite sure Simonson didn't say, "Hey, just put a bunch of roses." So, and you can see them here. So, a moment there in the grass, a glint like some tiny emerald sun, a telltale of some kind. Perhaps I'd best dismount and have a look. And so now we got to go to Loki's castle. I love this thing here. It's just so cool. And so we got Loki here. Malekith was fortunate indeed that curse dealt with him before I was able to effect an escape from my cell. My revenge for his treachery would have been bitter. And so Lorelei says, "Oh Loki, I'm so glad you're home. I didn't know what happened to you. Wait until you hear what that creature Sif did to." And then, of course, he's like, "Lorelei, please. Much has happened during my stay in the prison of no escape, and most of it is far more important than anything that Lady Sif could conceivably have done to anybody. I am still not clear about how I came to occupy a cell in Asgard's prison. But most important question of all, namely, what has become of Balder? And if the mystic vapors of Erd serve me well, then we shall soon know the answer. For in the shadows of the rolling coils, the recent past may be revealed. And what I seek is the past of Balder." And so Baldur was writer, and she basically said the same story that she told Thor. And of course, being that Baldur is very brave, he's gonna go in there. You can see the lady is smiling, so it was all a ruse, same as she tried to get with Thor here. So he goes past again. We see all these roses here. So he sees the castle here. I'm not gonna read all this at this time because it's really not that important. It's just giving us subtext to the adventure. But you can see here these roses here. So He's gonna look at this leap, and so he's gonna go up, and so he makes it to the top, and he sees there, and he says, "This looks deserted." But of course, at last, a champion who can save us. Kosi, look below the courtyard. It can be. It cannot be. It's some sort of trick, the demon, to torture us anew. And so, we got these lovely ladies here. Courage, Kosi, brave warrior, help us. We beseech thee. Save us from the wicked power of Slagnbur. You are, or are you, as Kosi fears, only another vision sent to break our spirits and cast us into despair? And Balder says, "Hear me, fair damsels. Balder the brave is no vision. The blood within me fairly burns the sight of thy helpless flight." So he says, "Come forth, Slagenbeer." And so he opens the door here, and what do we got here? And a troll. So he says, "Welcome, Balder." And you can see him try to smash him, but Balder cuts his shins with his sword. Um, he says, "Yield and I'll be merciful." And the troll says, "Your death will be slow one for that," after he cut him. And so says, "I'll grind you to the bones," all supervillain fluff. And so Balder trips him, and down goes the troll. And so he's going to go up to save the ladies, and he's going to cut them free. But of course, this isn't going to quite go the way we think here. So they all fawn over him, and look at this. They sit him here in this throne here, and you can see that they're starting to rob him, or just robe him, or whatever. So, and Balder's like, "I must return, for I am called on an errand of great urgency." And the red-haired one says, "We would not seem so ungrateful as to let you leave in such haste, especially when you have yet to reward you for your courage and daring. But tell us again, who are you, and who is your lady, and where is your home? Surely you have not forgotten already, ladies. Why, how odd, I can't remember." So they have taken his memory. So then lie back, dearest one, and we shall tell thee who thou art, and ever shall be, for thou art Anar, our lord and master. We are your lovers, and live only to please you, and this castle has always been your home. So, um, and so he kind of looks into the ring, which is the what Carnilla had given him, and he's like, "The ring, it disturbs me. I feel I should remember somehow, yet I cannot." "Then away with it, Anar. Surely such a simple bauble is of no concern to us," which is, of course, now where we're gonna head. And so Loki now knows what happened to Balder. So Loki says, "Malekith has undone my plots, and Baldur's life or death is no longer matters to me. Now Thor is about to find Baldur's prison. This should all prove to be very amusing." So he finds the ring here, and so he thinks it came from the castle. So off he goes. Notice how they went from the metal, and now he's going back to drawing it like cloth here. So I don't know whether he got direction or he just decided, I don't want to do that anymore. So here we go. And Thor opens, "By the beard of my father." And so, "Welcome, noble stranger, to the castle in the sky. Few indeed are so venturesome as to pass through the great gate. But those who do may enter to enjoy whatever delights they may find within." So, next issue, 3 Charms for Death. The fight you never thought you'd see. Thor and Balder locked in mortal combat. Be here. I'm a huge sucker for Simonson's wonderful, wonderful writing. So, um, this is the second issue with Sal Buscema. He did a fill-in issue before, so all right. Thor 368 by Walter Simonson, writer, and Sal Buscema, artist. Real quick here, look at this. Didn't even connect. Oh, how awesome! I just love old fashioned art. So like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.